I please request the next speaker, Dr. Leroy Rebello, to please come up on stage. Dr. Leroy Rebello also needs no introduction. He's a diploma in dermatology from St. John's University, Australia. He has his credit he's written many research papers, over 10 papers. He's credited with many inventions. He has a passion for in alternative medicine, and he practices integrative medicine. He's a pioneer in PRP, and he's the one who introduced PRP in India. And he was awarded with the prestigious Presidential Award from the King of Malaysia for his work in anti-aging and regenerative medicine. Dr. Leroy Rebello.
Phytopharmacology it's nothing but what the name says. It's pharmacology made from plants or plant medicine. Because talking about natural products and natural medicine, a lot of us, are going in for these plant products. I mean, you can see many of the stalls are displaying ashwagandha and this and that and so many products. And many speakers before me had made my talk very much easy by giving you a small introduction or an elaborate introduction about what this phytopharmacology is, like Dr. Prakash and all that. He said that, it's a good thing. Now you see this picture is one of the first pharmacopoeias in the world in 1618. So this had basically, it was published in Greece, and it had basically only plant medicine. And as the medical world evolved, the amount of plants being used in modern medicine comes down. Like if you see in our emergency rooms, one of the most important medicine is derived from plant. What is that? It's nothing but atropine. It comes from belladonna plant, but now of course it is synthetically made. And most of the medicines in today's world are derived from plants. For example, the painkiller Brufen, everybody must have heard of ibuprofen. It is derived from a plant called the monkey vine in the rainforests of Amazonia. Then you see over here, there is another, this is the first pharmacopoeia of the United States. Read down, I mean it's difficult to read, but I'll read it for you. It says more than 50% of its pages were filled with plant-based medicine. Today, hardly, maybe not even 1 or 2% are filled with plant-based medicine. Now, what and how this phytomedicine came into being? See, humans, as long as there were humans always fell sick. And we know that, from traditional medicines and traditional, knowledge that there are some plants where you eat and you get well or you start getting better. Now, these medicinal plants are documented in some forms of, traditional medicine or traditional, like in India you have the Ayurveda, in China you have the traditional Chinese system of medicine, where these are documented. But unfortunately, today there is not much modern scientific background to say that it works. But we all know it works because we are all here. At some point in time, as some of our ancestors have definitely eaten that medicine, and that's how the human species has progressed. Now, most of these plants, they were given names like, like for example, this pipal tree. They would say, okay, this is a sacred tree or something, because these trees were difficult to grow, and these trees had a lot of cures, Now, for example, this tree gives us oxygen even in the night time. Or 24 hours, there are certain trees of the ficus species, gives us oxygen 24 hours. And this can be used for so many different types of ailments. And that's how people started making these plants kind of, religious and protecting them. Because of course in those days there were no, kind of organizations like Save the Trees and this and that to protect plants. So people would say, okay, they would blame it on God or something. So people would not, cut down these particular plants and, keep it. Now, unfortunately today, because of the modern system of medicine and the modern system of the pharma companies or the pharma world, this medicine is taken a backward seat, and people are not, going much into this because of two things. One, it's natural, so you cannot make much money out of it. Second, you get cures. Third, one medicine can be used for many, one medicine can be used for many ailments, which no pharma company likes. Because once you go to a doctor, you get an antibiotic, then you get a probiotic, then you get a prebiotic, and then you get a, some other thing, this thing, that thing. But if a pharma company would give only one medicine, they would not make much profit as making, so many medicines. So anyway, these are things, and most of the cures in natural medicine are anecdotal. So there's not much documentation. But who is to blame for this? We only are to blame for this. Because if something works, we take it for granted it works. It need not be proved and reproved. Because it has been proved since more than 3,000 or 5,000 years that it works. Like for example, haldi or curcumin cures inflammation. We know that. We need not prove it that it cures inflammation. But as of today, modern medicine, or what I call is Western medicine, wants something to be written on the paper or something to be written on the Google. So if Google says it is there, that means it is there. If Google says it is not there, it is not. Then who writes Google? We only write Google. So we are only at fault because we did not put this in the Google. So when you talk about making these medicine, there has to be some standardization or some standardization of process. For example, right from collection of the raw material to the handling and purification, these, there have to be certain steps followed. And looking into pharmacology, how we prepare certain APIs or certain drugs, we have certain types of steps, certain types of quality controls. So these quality controls are also being brought into plant medicine. So right from collection of the species to identification of the species, type of grinding, powder. Now it's very important how you process a particular plant and what part of that plant you use to process it, because it may or may not contain the active ingredient. And also important where that plant is grown. Like for example, garlic. Garlic contains a lot of selenium. But if there's no selenium in the soil, the garlic won't pick up the selenium. So again, we spoke about, interpretation. Now, evaluation of the products and validation is very important, because today, why is phytopharmacology or herbal medicine given a bad name? Some people say, oh, you buy from this particular company, it is good. This particular company is not so good, because there is not much validation. So every plant needs a particular season to be collected. You can't collect any plant from any particular season. So the plants have to be collected in that particular season. Like for example, today it's summer season, so it is mango season. So you have to, because mangoes are grown now, so you have to collect mango at this particular season. Because at this particular season, mangoes produce the maximum amount of a compound called mangiferin. I will come to that after 4 slides. When these mangoes are produced throughout the year, you have today crops that produce mangoes throughout the year. Those do not have mangiferin produced inside the mango, so eating that is a waste. That's why nature has also produced certain crops at certain times of the year. And this, if we eat seasonal fruits, this prepares us for the next season. Now what do I mean by that? Every time a season changes, people come to our clinic and with cough and cold and flu, right? And we tell them your immunity is low. So when you eat the fruits prepared in the right season, automatically our immunity increases. And I will show you through some biochemical changes how the immunity increases. Now what are these phytochemicals? So phytochemicals are divided into many categories. Like you see alkaloids, you see phenols, you see carbohydrates, proteins, lipids. And each of these are further divided into subcategories. We won't go through each of these categories, but I'll just show you broadly. So you have phenols, you have polyphenols, you have isoflavonoids, you have flavonoids. So like polyphenols, again you have polyphenols divided into each different category. Now what are these polyphenols? Polyphenols usually come from plants that are black in color. They are phenolic compounds that, like for example, grapes. Black grapes contain high amount of polyphenols. Blackberries contain a high amount of polyphenols. These polyphenols are very good vasodilators. So if you want very high in oxidant thing, you just take a plant that is blackish or purplish. You eat that fruit, you'll get a good amount of polyphenols. Like resveratrol. Resveratrol is a very good polyphenol. Now coming to our favorite plant, which is curcumin. So I called curcumin the gold, because it's gold in color. And this plant can cure almost, almost all the diseases. Everywhere there is a, cure, and they say, you use curcumin, because inflammation is the basis of almost all diseases. And curcumin acts on inflammation. You see, it has a gamut of diseases that you can treat with curcumin. Now, when I say you treat with curcumin, yes, I mean you say treat with curcumin, because when in a turmeric root or haldi root, there is only 0.8% curcumin. So you have to keep on concentrating to get the right amount of curcumin, and then it works on TNF alpha and different other pathways and helps into this. Now, even in curcumin, there is something called nanoparticles. This we have not invented. This we just took out from the nature. Nature or God or whatever you can call it has already given nanoparticles. And today we found nanoparticles, so somebody gets Nobel Prize or something and he tells, oh, I invented nanoparticle. No, it's not like that. These things were already there and they were already working and they will already be working. You see, if you see over here, the nanoparticles in nanocurcumin sink down and the normal curcumin floats on top. So we published this paper on, on different types of nano encapsulations and nanoparticles. Now this is already there in nature. You don't have to buy nanocurcumin. For example, when you make your curry, anybody who cooks at home will usually use some haldi powder. Okay? This stains. The part that dissolves in water is already nanocurcumin. But that's 0.008%, which is a very small amount. So that's why, you need to add it at the right time. Now when you cook, you always usually add haldi or curcumin at the end. You never add it in the beginning, because it is supposed to be oil soluble, and you add the oil towards the end. So that's why you add the curcumin or the turmeric towards the end, and that is what helps get absorbed in the body. Now this is another study that we published. I don't think you can see very clearly. On the right hand side, you see these are breast cancer cells, and these cancer cells are a control plate, and over here it is treated with the nanocurcumin, and you see it's almost 50% reduction. So we have published this study, and this will be out in Nature next in June. Now coming to the next fruit, which is lycopene or tomatoes. Tomatoes, any fruit that is red usually contains a good amount of lycopene. Now this lycopene is very good for decreasing the cancer cell cycle. So, and there are studies showing that tomatoes are good for prostate. There is something called doctrine of signature. I don't know if you heard of that theory of doctrine of signature, where written by Galen. There were two people in medicine. One was Hippocrates and one was Galen. So Hippocrates came out with the Hippocratic Oath and all those things, and Galen was a pioneer in plant medicine. Both of them were political rivals in those days, just like how you have today Modi and you have Rahul Gandhi. So both of them were fighting, but in the field of medicine. So Galen was a promoter of all these herbal medicine and all these things. So he said that if a fruit or a thing looks like a particular organ, it can be used. That was his wisdom. That was ancient wisdom. And today modern science is proving that. You see, prostatic enlargement looks like tomato. So they found out a compound called lycopene. And this lycopene works on prostatic, I've shown pathway and all that. Next product. Oh, actually this is not the fruit. We are not talking about this fruit. It is mango, but not this mango. We are talking about this mango. Because people get confused, today with apple and mango and all these things. So, mango contains mangiferin, as I said, and you see it's a very good antioxidant, and it's neuroprotective, anti-diabetes. Now why I'm talking about mango? Because it is mango season, and all the doctors will tell your diabetic patient, don't eat mango. Correct? But what you're telling is right, because they are eating those mangoes which are not ripened on the tree. They are ripened in this chemicals and all that, and that causes the problem. Now, mango produced ripened on the tree contains a product called mangiferin, and mangiferin is anti-diabetic. You can see over here how it is anti-diabetic. It decreases VEGFs, it decreases FGFs, it decreases TNF alpha. So these are studies and these are publications that are done to validate what we are saying. What if you don't get the right mango? You can get mango leaves. You put 2 or 3 mango leaves while cooking. As they say, one of the speakers said that the kitchen is the best laboratory. So you put 2 or 3 mango leaves while cooking, you get your mangiferin in that, and you don't need to, you can gradually decrease your doses of medicines and all these things. So again, since there is not much time, I won't go through each of these biochemical reactions, but you can see how much this mango thing, fruit has helped us, because we always, humans, especially in this country, India, we have a nice love affair with this fruit of mango. And it is true, because you see, it is even proven to be kidney protective because of these pathways. Mangiferin can inhibit these pathways, and it can help us be kidney protective. Here there is a biochemical pathway showing that mangiferin also can inhibit some of the cancer cells. Anything that is anti-diabetic is always anti-cancer. Remember that. All anti-diabetic drugs by default are always anti-cancer drugs. And one more thing, it's also good for the skin. So the mango, whatever the mango skin, instead of throwing it out, you can crush it and apply on your skin. You don't need to throw it out, and you can get mango facial and all these things. And this fruit is, why is it called king of fruit? Because Indians, we really love it, and it has a lot of good things, and we have even created party. Now it is election time, so people have created different types of party, like Aam Aadmi Party, mango, Aam. So when you are going to this time for election, you just choose rightly and just eat good amount of mangoes and all this time. So you will be very healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leroy. That was a very interesting lecture. So we'll all start eating a lot of mangoes, and if we get diabetes, we'll come to you, okay? If our blood sugar goes up. Okay.
Yes, I think by 6:30 we should be able to move out from here. Our next speaker and entertainer. She's going to liven up the show a bit. Is Dr. R. Purnima, an awarded Fulbright Nehru Senior Research Fellowship in empowering young lives through arts. The role of educational theatre in America, recipient of Karnataka State Theatre Academy Award. And when it comes to theatre management, designing, acting, directing, producing, she's done it all. So welcome her on stage.
Thank you. I'll call you.